Hello there, Miss M here. So this week we are talking about the artist Victor Vasarely. He was an artist, which is Optical Illusions. He started in the early 1920s-ish when the op art really became popular. He's considered the grandfather of op art. So if you have looked at the PowerPoint, you have learned a little bit of information about him. And now we're going to talk about the different types of optical illusions that we can make, or op art that we can create. So I'm going to show you 9 different examples. I want you to follow along. So the first thing I want you to do is draw 9 boxes on your page. And like before when we did our line art, I actually want you to separate the boxes because it's easier if you separate them so that you can actually see the difference in the different optical illusions that you're going to create versus if they're touching. So right now I'm going to draw my boxes. Go ahead and draw your boxes, your 9 boxes, and then we will talk about the different types of op art that we can create. So I have drawn 9 different squares. Of course, they're not exact and precise because I want you to see what it would look like if you just freehanded it. You can use a ruler if you want to be precise about everything, but this is a learning page. You will produce an actual assignment on a different area in your Canvas assignments. This is going to show you 9 different examples of how you can produce a type of op art. So the first one we're going to start with, you're going to use your ruler. And so the thing about op art is it's more precise, and it is important to make sure that if you're doing something that has straight lines, you actually use a ruler to produce those straight lines. If you're doing something with curved lines, it's a little more forgiving than the ones with the straight lines. So the one we're going to start with first is the one with straight lines, and we're going to take this box that we've created and we're going to divide it in half. Then you're going to take that box that you've divided in half and you're going to divide it in half again. And for you, I'm using a colored pencil so that you can see on the video, but you would want to use an actual pencil to begin with because it will make it easier in case you have to erase anything. So this first design is going to have a pattern that's going to go this way and this way, and it's going to alternate. So the first thing we want to do is we want to draw our lines that are going this way. We're going to start in this bottom box. We're going to go over approximately 1/4 of an inch. And then you're going to repeat that design the opposite direction. You're going to start where that line was on the bottom. You're going to line it up and go the opposite direction with that. So I'm going to make these lines a little darker so that you guys can see them on the video. So we have both directions. We're going to make it opposite again, going the other way. So it almost looks like a zigzag pattern. Then you're going to reverse again and go the opposite way. So now that you have this design, what you need to think about is that when you start to color in, so I'm going to color in every other space here on the top row. So when I go to the next row, I'm going to do the ones in between. So where it touches here, I'm going to leave it white. I'm going to do the ones that don't touch. Well, I actually should have drawn another line right there. Okay. Then I'm going to repeat that alternating pattern on the next row. So where it's white, the next row is going to be black. Now if you choose to do colors, it works the same way. You're just going to alternate colors. Instead of black and white, you might do blue and red, or yellow and green, or orange and purple, whatever colors you choose to do. And again, moving down to the last row, wherever it's white, it's going to be black on the next row. So that is our first example of an optical illusion. Then we're going to move on to the next one. In the next example, we're going to draw one line across the middle. It does not have to be straight. Make that a little darker so y'all can see it. Then we're going to draw 4 lines up and down. These lines, again, do not have to be straight. After you have your lines up and down, I want you to start at the center line and work your way up. So you're going to make arch-shaped curves that go between the lines. These lines do not have to touch each other, but all of your lines are going to go the same direction when you're going up. And they're going to go from one side of the line to the other. When you get ready to go down, your arch is going to turn the other direction. So instead of up, it's going to go down. This is what you should have. And then you're going to alternate the coloring just like you did on this example. So you might start here and every other space within that area. Then you do the next one, the ones in between. You're going to do the same thing on the bottom. So whatever you started with here, you're going to alternate. Like I said, if you want to use different colors other than black and white, you're welcome to be creative. Use whatever color you have on hand or want to use. We're just working on the basics right now. So this is our next optical illusion, our op art. We're going to move on to our next pattern. So in our next pattern, you're going to choose a focal point. So your focal point can be anywhere within here. I'm going to choose mine a little off center here. So you can draw a little dot. They'll help guide you. You're going to use your ruler and create a straight line up and down. So that will be your first mark. Then you need 5 more lines that go across this side. So when you draw them across, they're going to go across to the other side. So we're going to start here. This will be line number, you're going to line it up with that center point. Make sure you always line up with that center point. So here's line number 1. Two, 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to draw what kind of looks like a spider web. We're going to choose a section, and we're going to make 2 marks. So this is going to be our line for this section. We're going to skip a space, make 2 more. We're going to keep doing that until we fill that space. And we're going to skip every other one going that direction. So the curve is going to be this way. We're going to skip every other one. So our next one would be here. Okay. And I think I actually did that in the wrong one, so forgive me. I'm going to correct that. So when we go in between, our ones that are in between have to go the opposite direction. So the first one we drew was shaped like this. The next one we draw needs to be shaped the opposite way. So it needs to curve like this. Then I'm going, that's the second one. So then this one needs to go this way. That's what I was saying, I need to correct that. Then the next one needs to go over. So it's like an over under. Over. And then under. And you just keep alternating those until you make your way all the way around. And when you get ready to color, you color just like you would on these first 2. You alternate the ones that you're doing. So if I was going to color this area on my first section, when I go to the next one, I'm going to do the ones in between. So it would be here, here, and you keep working your way around, alternating from the one that you did before. So my next one would be here. Alright, moving on to the next one. So on the next example, I want to show you how to do optical illusions involving hearts. Again, it is very important that you have evenly measured out spaces. For this small distance, I'm going to do a 1/4 inch space each time. If you're going to do a full page of paper, I would say a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch would be okay. I wouldn't go any more than a 1/2 inch. You want to draw with pencils so that you can erase, but I am drawing with, again, the colored pencils so that you can see my lines. So if I want to give the illusion of hearts on here, I would draw my hearts. Maybe have here where it's coming off the bottom. And then I'm going to alternate lines. So my top line would be solid because none of my heart design is in there. On the next row, instead of coloring in what's outside the heart, I'm going to color what is inside. And then on the next row, I'm going to skip the inside and go to the outside. Then inside, outside. Alright, next square. We're going to give the illusion that we are being sucked into this vortex in the center. So you do this by the thickness and thinness of your line. So a few weeks ago when we talked about the calligraphy style line where it's thinner in some parts and thicker in other spots, that is important here. You're going to choose a focal point. So I'm going to draw my dot right here. So all of my circles that I'm going to create are going to come from this spot. This is going to be the back end of my circle. I'm going to make it look like it's going out this direction. So it's going to get bigger on this side, but it's going to remain close to the dot on this side. So I'm going to draw a circle around. And then I'm going to make it thicker on the side that is further away from the focal point and thinner as it comes in. And I'm going to keep repeating that. Thicker on the outside edge, thinner as it comes in. I'm just going to keep going around and around the circle to create that illusion of that vortex. course, I'm going to stop and start where my outside of my box is. I'm not going to go past that line. So there's my vortex. Looks like I'm being swallowed up here. And again, the effect is caused by that thickness of those lines and the distance from that center point. So it's closer here, further away here. The next thing I want to do is I want you to make some lines that kind of swiggle down like this. We're going to create the illusion that this line is going from here up. So we're going to start thicker down here and then move to thicker up here. So we're going to make our line a little thicker here. We're going to add to it, and we're going to go up a little higher each time. So I'm going to go up to there. Then I'm going to come up a little bit higher with my thickness of my line. And then a little bit higher. Until I get a little bit past the center point. Then I'm going to move it to this line. So the thickness is going to go to the top side. And then it's going to get a little thinner each time you move up. So if I added another one, it would just get a little smaller like that as you go up. So you're creating that motion of it's coming from here and it's going up. The next one I want to show you is we're going to mark some guide points here in the center, on the sides, and on the top. So you have a guide marker to create a diamond. And we're going to go from here to here. And we're just going to connect those dots. Then you're going to go in, you're going to do those cross lines that you did before, where you're going to do about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, depending on the size of your page. So for this being in a small example, a 1/4 inch is sufficient. We're just going to make those lines across. And then when you color, you will alternate. So outside the diamond, then inside. Okay, moving on. So a lot of you have probably seen the optical illusion art where someone has traced their hand and they've made it look like their hand's coming off the page. If you're going to do a full page, you would lay your hand on the page like this, trace around it, and then draw your lines. But because it's in smaller version, I'm just going to freehand a hand here. Now the important thing is, if you were actually doing your hand, you would want to do this in pencil because you want to eventually be able to erase this line where you traced your hand. I won't be able to do that because it's in colored pencil, but I want you to be able to see what I am doing. So you again are going to come back in and you're going to draw your 1/4 inch lines across. But when you have your hand traced, you're going to stop at your fingers, and so anywhere where there's a line, you will stop and start on the other side of that line. You will not make straight lines through the hand. So anywhere where it is going from this line to this line and it is within the inside of the hand, you're going to have an arch. Your arch is not going to go up any higher than the next line. So this arch would go from side to side, like this, to this line. This next one would go side to side. When you start getting to marks where you have fingers, you will stop at each line. So you could potentially have up to 4 marks. This one is solid because it's in between. So it's better to have lines that are closer together so that you end up with more marks in between your hands. So I'm just going to add an extra line here so y'all can see that. Okay, and then you're going to just color like you would before, except for on this time, instead of changing what you do in between, it's actually coloring all the way across, including the arch. So you would follow that bump in that line. So your line would go all the way across when you color. Then you would go back. So we're at the last square. The last thing I want to show you, and actually, real quick, I want to show you this one. So this is an option as well. This was created by doing a diagonal this way and a diagonal this way, and then my lines every 1/4 inch, and then alternate every other line as you color. The last one that I want to show you as an example here for today, I'm going to sharpen my pencil. What I want you to do is I want you to create 9 boxes. So you will have your lines up and down, and your lines across. Again, much better to do this with a pencil and not a colored pencil like I'm doing. I'm only doing it so that you can see the picture better. So within each square, you're going to create patterns in a different direction. So in the first square, we're going to make lines going this way. Then you're going to alternate and you're going to go back the other way. You're going to use that line as a guide on where to start. So the thing that's going to make the difference is the thickness and thinness of the line. So you will want to go back and make some of these lines thicker than others. Then you're going to go and you're going to repeat this, but you're going to turn it the other direction. So in the next square, it's going to go up this way. Again, using that line as your guide on where to start. Then you're going to switch it back. Keep working your way down. Sorry, I fixed that. Got my line a little bit off. Right. So that is our final one. So your paper, when you turn in for this assignment, the practice, the learning page, this will go into Canvas, take a picture of it, turn it in. You should have all 9 of these designs. Then you will have another assignment posted in Canvas this week where you have to actually create your own larger version of an optical illusion. So you could do something like this. You can choose one of these designs to create bigger, so it needs to fill the whole page. You do need to use black and white color scheme, or you need to go with a colored color scheme that alternates. You can't just use your pencil because the illusion comes from the thickness and thinness of the lines. So if you don't have anything colored, then you don't really get the same effect as you do from having your lines colored in solid. So Art 1, you're going to choose either one of these patterns or come up with something that is similar. In Art 2, if you want to create something that looks like you're seeing something like a cat or a profile or words to come up in there, you can do that for your assignment. If you want to create something random like this, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but I will outline it. So for Art 2 students and Art 3 students, if you want to create some random geometric shapes on a page and then, oops, that line is not very straight, sorry, and create your optical illusions that way, you would alternate within those patterns just like you were doing before, but each one would be something different. But the idea is to fill your page with some kind of a design that tricks your eye into seeing movement on the page that's not really there. It's just creating that illusion of it being there because of the way you create your lines. So I look forward to seeing your work. You're going to have one assignment in Canvas that has your 9 designs on it. You will have a second assignment in Canvas that has a full-sized finished piece of art. If you are in Art 1, again, you can use one of these designs. Or if you are in Art 2 or 3 or in my AP class, you can come up with something creative like this. You can do words. It's going to be your choice, and I will see you guys in class.